Hello friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel Doctorscorner. Today we are going to study about digastric triangle. Okay, so this triangle, it is also known as submandibular region or submandibular triangle. It can be a 3-mark short question in the university examination in the subject anatomy. Okay, so in this short video we are going to discuss today the boundaries of this triangle and contents as well as the structures forming the floor and the roof of the triangle. Okay, so let me show you the diagrammatic representation here. So with this black color line I will just outline this submandibular triangle, also known as digastric triangle. Actually it is the area between the body of the mandibular bone and the hyoid bone. Okay, so in this green color structure, that is this green color shaded area represents the digastric triangle or the submandibular triangle or the submandibular region more specifically. Actually this is one of the triangle of the anterior triangles of the neck. So basically the neck is divided into anterior and posterior triangle. So in this anterior triangle, one of the triangle is this submandibular triangle. Okay, so we are just concentrating on this particular topic, digastric or the submandibular triangle. Okay, so let us discuss the boundaries of this triangle. Okay, boundaries of this triangle. So anteroinferiorly it is formed by anterior belly of the digastric muscle. It is formed by anterior belly of the digastric muscle. Okay, so let me show you in this the boundaries. So with this black color line I am highlighting here the anterior-inferior boundary, that is the anterior belly of the digastric muscle. Okay, then posterior-inferiorly it is formed by posterior belly of the digastric muscle and also by the stylohyoid muscle. Okay, so with this black color line once again I will outline this posterior inferior boundary. It is formed by the posterior belly of the digastric and the stylohyoid muscle, and superiorly or base it is formed by this base of the mandible. Okay, so hope this triangle which I have marked with this black color, it is clear to you people, the boundaries of the digastric triangle. So superiorly, or it is also known as the base, it is formed by the base of the mandible. Okay, base of the mandible bone and a line which joins the angle of the mandible to the mastoid process. Okay, now let us discuss the structures forming the roof of this particular triangle. Okay, so the roof of the triangle is formed by the skin. Below the skin there is the superficial fascia which contains the platysma muscle. Okay, which is a subcutaneous muscle, platysma. Also the cervical branch of the facial nerve. Okay, so also there is a ascending branch of the transverse or anterior cutaneous nerve of the neck, ascending branch of the transverse or anterior cutaneous nerve of the neck. Okay, so these are the structures which form the roof, and also deep fascia. Okay, basically this deep fascia, it will split to enclose the submandibular salivary gland. Okay, it will enclose the submandibular salivary gland. Okay, so these are the structures which forms the roof. Okay, now let us discuss the structures which are forming the floor of the triangle. So floor of the triangle is formed by the mylohyoid muscle anteriorly. So anteriorly floor of the triangle is formed by the mylohyoid muscle and posteriorly by the hypoglossus muscle. Posteriorly by the hypoglossus muscle. A small part of the middle constrictor muscle of the pharynx also appears in the floor. Okay, middle constrictor muscle of the pharynx. Okay, so floor is formed by this following structure. So let me show the diagrammatic representation of the structures forming the floor of the digastric triangle. So anteriorly it is formed by the mylohyoid muscle, posteriorly by this hypoglossus muscle, and also the middle constrictor muscles of the pharynx. Okay, now let us discuss the contents of this triangle, which is very important. What are the various structures which are present in this triangle? So let us divide into two parts, anterior part and the posterior part. Okay, so structures which are superficial to this mylohyoid muscle. Okay, so anterior part. So basically this anterior part, the following structures are present. First one is the superficial part of the submandibular salivary gland, which is a very important content. Superficial part of the submandibular salivary gland. Okay, also it has the facial vein and the submandibular lymph nodes which are superficial to it. Okay, the facial vein and submandibular lymph nodes. Then deep to this there is facial artery. Okay, remember the facial vein is superficial and facial artery is the deep structure in the anterior part. Then also there is submental artery. Submental artery. Then mylohyoid nerves and vessels. Mylohyoid nerve and vessels. Then the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, so these are the structures which will form the which are present in the anterior part, that is the contents in the digastric triangle anterior part. So what are the contents which are present in the posterior part of the triangle? Okay, so in the posterior part of the triangle, so we can see the superficial structures like the parotid gland, more specifically the lower part of the parotid gland, lower part. Then we have the external carotid artery before it enters the parotid gland. Okay, so the external carotid artery. Then the deep structures usually which pass between external and internal carotid arteries are the muscles like the styloglossus, stylopharyngeus, the glossopharyngeal nerve, the glossopharyngeal nerve, and the deepest structures which include the internal carotid artery, then we have the internal jugular vein, and finally the vagus nerve. Okay, the vagus nerve. So this is all about the digastric triangle or the submandibular triangle. So let me revise you quickly what we have studied today. So we have studied the boundaries of this anterior inferiorly, posterior inferiorly and superiorly, then the structures forming the roof, then the structures forming the floor, and the contents in the anterior part as well as in the posterior part of the triangle. Okay, hope you liked our video. So if you like our video. So please subscribe the channel and